Ellen McCarthy, writing in today's Washington Post, the article is titled, the headline, "This Life, an Existence She Loves Under a Growing Cloud of Student Debt," tells the story of a young woman named Sarah Poole. Sarah Poole, Ellen McCarthy writes in the Washington Post, sings loudly in the car, escapes into books, and tries, best as she can, not to think too much about the monster outside her door. The monster who demands every extra cent she earns. The one she keeps trying to appease but fears she will never be free of. The one she acquired when she was 25, pregnant, and determined to make a good life for the baby on the way. And that's when, Sarah had, when she got pregnant, she decided to go back to graduate school and get her master's degree. She's 69, she has $60,000 worth of student loans. 3 years ago, actually 3 years ago, she had $60,000 worth of student loans. That was when she left school. She now owes $69,000. That's right. She hasn't borrowed any more money, but the fees and the interest and everything, she is making payments. She said, "I keep paying, but it's like pouring into a bucket with no bottom." She owes more than twice the annual income that she earns working as a children's librarian. And by the way, she had to get the master's degree to get that job as a children's librarian. In 2014, she graduated with a 3.95 grade point average and a $60,000 bill. She says, "I love my job." Within 18 months, when she first got the job, within 18 months, she was promoted twice and is now a children's library, presiding over toddler story times and teen reading groups. She says, "I love my job because I like to help people and it's tangible." And she wouldn't have the job without her master's degree, but she feels perpetually on the edge of peril, writes Ellen McCarthy. One car breakdown away from disaster. She shops exclusively at Goodwill for herself and her son, Max. She doesn't have Wi-Fi at home. She can't afford it. They rent movies from the library. They don't have meals out. They don't take weekend getaways. When Sarah fantasizes about the future, writes Ellen McCarthy, what she dreams about is being able to pay more than the monthly minimum on her student loans. When she can block out anxiety over the debt, what Sarah feels mostly is lucky. Ellen wraps this article up. She lives in a town that feels like home, has a job she loves, and is the mother of a happy, healthy, charismatic little boy. Plus, she's got music and books and that flickering faith that if she keeps working hard, life will somehow turn out right. This is unprecedented in the history of the United States. Maybe the first century of our existence, you had to be white and wealthy to go to college, or the equivalent of college. But certainly since the 1930s, certainly throughout my lifetime and that of my fathers and mothers, going to college was not something that caused you to end up terribly in debt. I've said many times in this program, I only knew one person. Now, I didn't do a poll, but among the people that I knew, that I hung out with at MSU, I only knew one person who had student loans, and he was working on his master's degree. Excuse me, he was working on his doctorate of his DO, his osteopathy, I guess is what they call it, doctor. He's in the medical school at MSU. That was it. Everybody else I knew worked part-time, or their parents kicked in a little bit, and they could go to college for free. I worked part-time. I worked as a DJ. I worked in a gas station changing tires and pumping gas, and I worked at Bob's Big Boy as a dishwasher and as a cook, and for one day as a waiter. It was the day that all the waitresses went on strike. That's a whole long story. But anyhow, I have to wonder, I moved out of my parents' house sometime between the end of my 15th year and the beginning of my 16th year. I honestly don't remember. I think it was probably in the summer that I turned 16. But I've been living on my own since I was 16 years old. I started a business when I was 17 in East Lansing. It was called the Electronics Joint, and it was a repair shop for stereos and televisions and electronic doodads. Back in those days, we had vacuum tubes and stuff needed to be fixed, and it was a nice little business. It was my first business. We built it up to the point where we had 4 or 5 employees working full-time. Louise was my bookkeeper. We went on to get married, and that business failed. That was the one business that I've had that I've made a horrible mistake. I got overextended on credit, buying new test equipment for the business, and as a result of that, we ended up shutting the business down. It died. But I learned from that experience, and then went on to start an ad agency in Okemos, Michigan, an herbal tea company in Okemos, Michigan. We moved to New Hampshire. We started a community for abused kids. We moved to Atlanta, and we started a travel agency. We sold that travel agency, moved to Germany for a year, traveled all around Europe with our kids in that retirement, working with the Salem Children's Villages there. Came back to Atlanta and started from scratch, started an advertising agency, built it up to the point where in 1996 we sold it to our employees on a 7-year buyout, moved to Vermont, retired, started a little publishing company, published a couple of books, Last Hours of Ancient Sunlight and Prophet's Way. We then sold those books to Random House, which publishes Last Hours right now. And then, while we were in Vermont, for just the general heck of it, started this program. In 2002, I wrote this op-ed talking about how, there's a business model here for left-wing talk radio. Why doesn't anybody do it? And then I thought, well, why did I do it? And so we went to a local radio station and got a little gig on a Saturday morning and did that for a couple of months and learned how to do talk radio. I had been in radio back when I was a teenager. And it just took off. This show was a business that was pure serendipity. We just decided, hey, what the heck, let's try it out. Let's see if we can make this work. Let's see if I can prove the concept that I'm pitching. Because my original article in Common Dreams became the first business plan for Air America Radio. Air America Radio was invented off an article that I wrote for Common Dreams. Shelley Drobny, the guy who did the initial financing for it and ran it for the first year or so, he and his wife, Anita, it was actually the two of them. In fact, I would say Anita probably did more executive function stuff than Shelley did. But in any case, they invited me out to Chicago. I met with them and John Sinton, great guy. They put together Air America, and off it went. I give you this kind of truncated biography of myself, not to brag about my accomplishments in life or any of that kind of crap, but to point out that if I had left college, and given I did not graduate from college, but I spent enough time at two different colleges that I spent some money. If I had left college with $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 in student debt, there's no way I would have been able to start those businesses. There's no way that Louise and I would have been able to take the chance of moving to Vermont or moving to New Hampshire and starting a community for abused kids. There's no way that we could have bought and sold. Well, we didn't buy any businesses, but every business that we ended up selling, we literally started from scratch, including this show. Couldn't have done it. So I asked you the question: how would your life be different if, assuming that you're not a millennial, if you're older than a millennial, how would your life have been different if you had graduated from college with millennial level student debt?